Kingswood is a monster slaying game for 1 to 5 players that will take you anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. So if you're looking for a quick game to play in between some larger 3-hour games that you're playing, this will be a good one to choose. So today I wanted to do kind of an overview of Kingswood and then show you the setup for a solo version, both a solo version of the game, a solo playthrough of the game, as well as a multiplayer playthrough of the game. Because the setups for those are not too different. There's literally just one change that you would make. So I'm going to go and show you both of those. And then the video next week will be, I will do a full solo playthrough of the game so you can see how it functions in solo. And then hopefully before too long, Anna will be able to sit down with me and we can show you a multiplayer version of the game as well. So the first thing after you open this box up, you're going to get your rulebook, obviously. And this rulebook is actually really well written. I've come across rulebooks that were very poorly written in some games that I've played, and it made playing the game really, really confusing and really difficult. So I was really impressed with this rulebook because I didn't have that issue. Over on the left here, you have all of your components and everything, and over on here you have your setup. And then after that, it just tells you the goal of the game, and then just some different little tidbits of information that you'll need to know, as well as the rules for the solo play version of the game. So we can go ahead and put this to the side, since I already know how this is set up. Alright, so now we grab our King's Tally board. So I'm going to show you the setup for the solo game first, and then the setup for the multiplayer game after that. So we're going to take the Kingswood tally board. For the solo version, you don't really use this for anything. I just like to use it because of what we have to do with the locations. So, and you're just going to take that and you're going to put it somewhere kind of towards the center-ish of your table. And I will make some adjustments here as we go. There we go, that's a little better. So then next, we are going to take all of these locations. So if you look on the back of these locations, some of them will say special locations, and some of them are going to say common locations. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all of your common locations, and you're going to put those down here, and then you have two choices here. You can either shuffle up these special locations, or you can choose one, because what you're going to do, and what I usually do, is I just shuffle these up, and then I just pick a random one like that, and I got the manor house. So I'm going to put the manor house in with those here. So with these locations, you're going to take the forest out, and the forest goes here. The forest will always go down here. There's no other place that the forest will go. You're going to take the other 5 that you have, and you're going to shuffle them up. And once you've shuffled them up, you are going to set them out around the board here, around the King's Tally board. So you can set there's the tavern, and there's an academy, there's the manor house up there at the top, and there's the market over there, and there's the blacksmith over there. So I'm going to try to keep these down here as low as possible so that we can still see it on the camera. Getting a little bit of glare off of the light there, but that's okay then. I'll adjust that later. So, next step, you're going to take all of these cards that are in here, and you're going to separate out. There are these guys that have the Choose Your Guild on the back. We're going to leave those to the side for now. So you're going to take all these cards that are marked Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And what you're going to do is I'm going to put the Chapter 1 cards to the side for now. I'm going to put those over there. And you're going to shuffle up your Chapter 2 cards. And it can be a little difficult to shuffle because, there's not very many of them. Alright. Then you're going to put your Chapter 2 cards face down here underneath the forest. Then, we're going to grab all these Chapter 1 cards here. And you're going to separate out, if you look on these cards here. So at the bottom here, and for whatever reason my camera won't focus right now, but that's okay, you'll have the numbers 1 through 5 right here on this card. So the 1 through 5 on the bottom there is how many players this card will be used for in that game. So you want So in this case, we're setting up a solo game, so we're going to get all the cards that have the number 1 on them, which I believe I have them all at the top. And they should be, or at least pretty close. See, that one right there is a 4-5, so we don't need that one. That one's a 4-5, 3-4-5. There's just a 5. Yes, all right. So all the rest of these are for 3, 4, and 5 players. So I'm going to take those and we're going to put those back in the box. We don't need those. We're going to take these from the Chapter 1 and we're going to shuffle those up just like we did the Chapter 2 cards. And you're going to put those on top of the Chapter 2 cards. So, next step is you are going to take these Choose Your Guild cards and you are going to select your guild out of these 7 guilds here. And each guild does a different thing. Down at the bottom, they'll each have their starting resources, and they all start with different resources. And they'll also have their powers here. So like the Arcanum, you may skip over any number of locations without paying a coin. The first time you defeat a monster each turn, you may refresh a sword with a silver shield. The Murder of Crows, which is one of my favorites. Whenever you use the market, you may gain an extra coin. The House of Music, whenever you use the tavern, you may also capture a monster from the forest or fight a captured monster, which I'll go into all that once we're actually doing the playthrough. Crom, whenever you exhaust a heart, you may refresh a spell book. The Temple of Ancient Oaths, you may ignore the Kingsguard when visiting a location, and the Treetop Order, whenever you use the forest, you may reveal and add an extra monster. So you can do the guilds the same way that we did the locations. You can shuffle them up and just draw a random one if you would like. Or you can just kind of choose the player who's going to be going first in the game. That's one way that I've done it. You can choose a player who's going to be going first in the game, and you let them choose first what guild they want to do, and then you send it around the table in the order that you'd be playing. So I'm going to choose the Murder of Crows because they're my favorite, because they get extra money, and money is helpful in this game. And then you take the rest of them that you're not playing with, and you would put them back in the box. Then we are going to take these guys. So we're going to take this guy. This is the Kingsguard. And you're going to kind of put him kind of to the side. You can put him in between here. You can put, I like to put him up on here. You can really put him anywhere. And you're going to put him, but just not on top of any of the locations there. This little guy we'll get to in a second when I cover the difference in the multiplayer. Then, for the solo version, we're going to just grab all of our different resources. So like these are our swords, and you're going to put them into a place that's easy to reach. So I like to just kind of dump mine out on the table because, you know, it doesn't really matter. I'm playing by myself, so it doesn't really need to be in a special place. Actually, a lot of times when I'm playing this, I like to put the coins over by the market because that's where you can earn more coins or gain more coins. And I like to take the swords and put them over here by the blacksmith because that's where you can buy swords. And I like to take the books here, which have these other meeples in them, which we'll get to in a second. And I like to put those next to the academy because that's where you get the spell books. So, you know, just all this makes sense. I like to make this make sense. And then the hearts go next to the tavern because that is where you gain your hearts. There we go. And then you have 3 little meeples here. Now these meeples are going to go, one of them goes on the market, there it is. One of them goes on the blacksmith, and one of them goes on the tavern. Actually, no, I did not do that right. This goes on the academy, not on the market. Okay, and that's where those guys start. So, if you are playing a single player version of this game, a solo version of this game, you're done. This is your entire setup. You don't have to do anything else. From there, you would just start playing your game and do the best you can because, you know, you're doing it solo and it can be a little difficult sometimes. So now from here, let me show you the difference in the solo player setup, which I have right here, and the multiplayer setup. So with the multiplayer setup, Again, you're going to adjust your cards accordingly for the Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. But instead of being face down like this, you are going to have 3 of these monster cards flipped over, because you can go into the forest and fight those for glory. And then you are also going to have the little banner here that you're going to take the banner that matches your guild that you chose, and you're going to just kind of hold that next to your guild card. So what happens with that is this is your point counter. So when you kill one of these monsters, however many points it tells you to gain, which in this case is 1, this one's 1, and this one is worth 2, you're going to then go, okay, I killed this monster for 2, you're going to place this up here. And your goal is to get all the way around here, up to 20. Once you hit 20, then I believe everybody else has one more turn, and then the game's over, and whoever has the highest glory is the winner. The last thing is that you're going to have your little crown here. Now the crown is your first player marker. So you would put this in front of whoever the player is that's going to be taking the first turn. And literally that's the only difference in the setup for a solo version of the game versus a multiplayer version of the game. And then the only thing you would have left to do before you started is to grab your corresponding resources here. So in my case, Murder of Crows, I would need 3 gold and 2 swords. So I'd grab 3 gold and 2 swords. Now there are some of these guilds who would have like this you would start with 3 gold and 2 spellbooks. With this one, you start with 2 gold, 1 sword, and 2 spellbooks, but the spellbooks come into play exhausted or tapped or whatever you want to call it. They come in spent. You can't use them until you refill them, refresh them. Well, that's the entire setup for Kingswood, and that's so I went through the setup for both a solo version of the game as well as the multiplayer version of the game. So I hope that helps anybody who is interested in playing this game. So come back next week and I will show you a playthrough of the solo version of Kingswood so that you can see how that plays out. And then, like I said, hopefully I will be able to get Anna to sit down with me sometime and play a multiplayer version of Kingswood, so that you can see how that one plays as well, because I would like to share this game with everybody because I think it's super fun. So until then, let's go out there and play some games.